Hi, I'm Akhil.
Number one now.
Welcome to the long take. This week, well, actually, this was actually the other week as well. So we're back again, less than a week, Alan, to discuss Barbenheimer Part 2, which is Barbie, the other one that we had discussed previously. Greta Gerwig's new film about, well, not toys, but like how the toy line, but like brought to real life in a way, but also like living in a parallel world. It's weird, but it's also like very funny at times. Yeah, what do you make of it, one?
Now, I think I had a completely different reaction.
Okay.
I am not exaggerating when I say that I watched Bawal a day before Barbie.
Oh, I haven't watched it.
And I think Barbie is the more offensive and more offensively bad movie.
More offensively bad
Yeah.
than
I am.
Bawal, which like I only read tweets about, and like that one seems
Bawal is terrible. Bawal put me in a bad mood for like 24 hours until I watched Barbie.
okay.
And I watched it today and I've been
Hmm.
raging. Like I've spoken to a few people since then.
Hmm.
And funnily enough, I mean, 3 or 4 people that I spoke to also hated it.
Right.
And like, it's genuine hate. It's not just like pure, like, dislike, which I'll forget in like 2 days. Like, I genuinely hate this
And where
movie.
does that come from?
It, primarily among many other things, I feel that it talks down to the audience.
Okay.
And I hate that. The movie's constantly trying to tell me what is wrong with society as if I don't know. And I don't understand who it's speaking to. If the movie's speaking to like very young children, which I don't think is entirely true because it also is talking about genuinely like serious things that they probably don't understand or won't until a few years. So I
Yeah, which
do
like
feel.
which is what movies do, right? Like even if it's a kids movie like a Pixar, it doesn't have
Hmm.
to. Not everything they have to understand at that moment.
No, but then there's also the sense here that it's not a Pixar movie by any stretch of the imagination, right? Because Pixar movie will allow you to kind of connect with the story first by via the characters, and then the themes come second.
Hmm.
Here it's people just verbally telling you that here are the 5 problems with society,
Actually,
and
like I had a problem with that as well. Like I'm not like I don't like my movies to be literal. Like I loved her like two other movies where she was layering things in.
mm,
But I also thought was like that was not like I mean, it's a problem for me, but it's also like not destroying the movie for me. Like I understand why I don't understand like why she's taken that approach,
mm.
but that approach is still like not killing the rest of the film for me.
But let me ask you this, like, what is the one original idea that you feel that the movie has communicated to you? One, just one.
I think I don't know if like it's an original idea, but I think at least the way it's done, the when they arrive in the real world, right?
Mm.
And I think it's funny that it almost like a Barbie movie is like meteor themes, the other things that it's tackling better. It's actually not like feminism itself, but what it actually does better is in tackling how men are formed, right? Like so, Ken goes through this whole thing in Century City in Los Angeles where he like sees how actual men in the real are behaving, and he instantly like learns from them. He's like, oh, people are behaving this way. They're behaving like confidently as if they know everything, even though they don't. They're like a zero, but they're a 10 because they're a man.
Mm.
Um, and society is catering to them, right? Society is allowing them to behave this and be like, yeah, you are amazing and you are the top, which is also like replicated in the Mattel headquarters where like they keep congratulating each other for like terrible ideas. They're like, he says something like, Bill Fellas says something, and they're like, yeah, boss, you're right. Like, this literally repeat what he says.
Mm.
So I think that idea, like the way it's done of seeing how he's basically, this is what happens to like basically boys in our world, right? They don't come out of the womb or they don't like during childhood, they don't become like patriarchal or they're not like bad to people around them. It's because when they go out in the real world, what's projected onto them, the values of how they see, how the world sees them, and then they become like that.
Hmm. But here's my problem. Firstly, that to me that isn't anything that I don't know, right? And I'm not like, I expect better of every movie, not just one made by people that I like and admire, like
Mm.
Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach. I expect better of them, yes, but then here's the thing. What this movie does is that it when Ken, for instance, enters the real world and he sees how men are treated in the real world and how they hold the power, right? It's new for him. We see that happen. We see him in real time learn a new way of functioning. But then he comes back home and then he repeats everything that he has learned.
Yeah, because he
There
wants
I'm
to do that, right? He sees like, cause in his world,
in terms
Barbie
of
land,
he tells
he's living in a matriarchal society, right? Where he and the Ken have like no power and influence. They are the
but then
underclass.
I get that, right? Is that it? Is that the peak of imagination that we're dealing with here? That in the real world men have power. Great, we know that, don't we? How is the movie
No, I don't think
skewering
that's the lesson. I think what they're trying to say is that the society is telling you who you are, that it's giving you your purpose, it's giving you a self-image, right? Like, which is like the first thing. When they first appear at the Venice beach, they have come from a place of like naivete, right? Like they're like, women can do everything, men are just around, like whatever, and they're dealing with that scenario. And suddenly they come and like the way everyone looks at them, like she says, which is like a dialogue I sort of like resonate with, is that she's like, everyone's looking at me from an undertone of violence. And Ken's like, I'm not feeling any of that, right? Which is like how it feels for women to be in society. Is that
okay? So here's the thing, right? So we both watched the same scene. We both recognize what the scene is saying,
right?
But I don't think that there's anything of worth in that scene,
Right.
because it isn't telling me something that I don't already know. Now,
I think,
that
which
might be
is
a
where like
me
I think,
problem.
which sort of goes back to like I think this is Gerwig's like in a way Gen Z movie. Like it's a lot more speaking to teenagers than it is speaking to people of our
How?
age.
But wouldn't teenagers also know that? Wouldn't teenage girls?
Like when I'm saying teenage, I think I actually mean like tween, like 12, 13, 14. Not even like 50, 16, 17, 18.
So you think that is basically the target audience for this movie?
Yeah, I think it's basically the target audience. It's not like people who are playing with Barbies right now. People who used to play with Barbies like maybe 3 to 4 years
Barbie,
ago.
though, I think that is a separate conversation. I mean, let's talk about the themes first. Like
No, but
Barbie,
that's where it comes from, right? Like if you're making a movie called Barbie, you have to, in a way, like address that audience. So she's, I don't know.
Are people even playing with Barbies anymore? I have no idea.
If people are not playing with Barbies, this movie wouldn't exist, right? So obviously people are playing with Barbies. Otherwise, there would be no conceptualization of this movie. Like,
okay, no, so I actually feel that, yes, a certain generation of women did play with Barbies, but I really struggle to imagine if anyone under the age
anyone
of 18
between, like you say, ages of 6 and 10 is not
still
playing with Barbies anymore.
Correct. And my suspicion is that
Because they're just watching YouTube or like on their iPad.
Sure, like there's no one plays with toys physically unless
I cannot answer that because like I know 0 kids between 6 and 10.
No, so my suspicion is this. There's obviously a generation, there's our generation, and there's obviously our parents' generation. We're very familiar with Barbies and G.I. Joes, stuff like that. Obviously, I don't know very young children, so I can't vouch for this. But then I would imagine the generation that's grown up after, the internet, and they've grown up with like smartphones in their hands.
But then why would they show up for this movie at all then?
I mean, simplest answer is marketing. Like it's literally.
But how good can your marketing be? Is that someone who's never heard of a product is like, I'm gonna show up for this movie in droves and convince my friends to show up as well, and we're all gonna make this into an event.
Yeah, sure. No. I think people are showing up for this movie for reasons that aren't really directly connected to Barbie. Like, it's more of it's also a combined thing. Like, people are watching Oppenheimer and Barbie.
Right.
And
but yeah, the audience I saw like in my 2 screenings was completely separate. Like I could delineate that I was in the Oppenheimer. I was probably like, in the either the average or the ambient value, like, like in the middle. But in Barbie by screening, I was possibly the oldest person.
Yeah, possibly. I was also like, it was a full house today and some Monday that we're recording this. And it was mostly women, very young women. A lot of them were wearing pink.
No, I was wearing pink as well, like, because it's just like you're participating in the whole, like, event thing.
Sure, but there you go, right? Like, I think it's more of a participation, like a cultural event situation, more than any sort of personal connection to Barbie. And I think the movie also kind of recognizes that, because the America Ferrera character is the one who has a special kind of.
No, but like even sure, like, the character exists for a reason, but her daughter also exists for a reason, right? Because that daughter knows Barbie, like even if she doesn't play with them or like she doesn't, she
Sure,
for them.
everyone knows, like a
Yeah.
pop culture kind
And
of.
then she's like, she almost like, which is why her first reaction to like when she sees them is like, you've set back our like, you know, like our culture or like whatever feminist movement for decades.
Yeah. Which is the point I'm trying to make, right? Like, I don't know if very young women are playing with Barbies, and the movie, not the movie,
But they're aware of the cultural significance of Barbie that used to exist.
correct.
Yeah.
And Mattel probably knows that, and like the cynical
This movie
part of
exists
that,
to like, yeah, I mean, obviously that's
market
the other
to-
purpose, right? You have to, they were trying to connect to the new generation.
that is what I was coming to. Yeah. So I feel that this movie is very blatantly a marketing ploy. And
Yeah, it is. And I mean, a part of me was almost like sad that, you know, like Greta Gerwig would allow herself to be like used in that manner.
Yeah.
But then I feel like, I don't know if she balances it. I wouldn't say like she balances it like 50-50, but she does give herself room to like take pot shots at Mattel and Barbie's like history and controversial, like, you know,
But
like
then, but here's the thing, right? Those pot shots are Mattel sanctioned because this movie is produced by Mattel. So this is, in a way, it's almost like Netflix and Prime Video ka Twitter accounts interacting. You know what's happening, right? And if you're going to be like, I understand that if it's a better movie, like Transformers movies are designed to sell toys, right?
yeah, but they're not even pretending.
Right. And I remember I watched The Force Awakens. The first thing I did after stepping out of the screening was to buy a Kylo Ren toy. And I know what that can do. But here's the thing. You buy toys or you buy whatever merchandise that is related to the movie only if the movie / commercial is good enough, right?
Or if like it makes you connect with something, or if a joke works, right? Like I think other jokes I've seen in after seeing the movies that people are like, oh, if actually like Mattel made like a Mojo Dojo Casa house, that would actually become their best-selling toy right now. Which like paying off the joke in the movie.
I guess. I mean, like,
but they're not actually doing it.
For various reasons. But here's the thing. They do have Barbies to sell, and they need like a younger generation to sell too, right?
Yeah, they're trying to refashion their image for a world that might be leaving them behind.
And I think they're trying to be cute about it by being like, oh, like, look at us, we're willing to kind of allow. There's always a sense of, yeah, we've allowed this. We've allowed Greta Gerwig to make fun of us, you know, for things that the company, and I'm sure people who in charge of the company are aware were problematic.
Yeah, but I also feel like, I agree like a lot of with that, but I also like I feel like if I don't fully agree with it, because then I'm almost like saying that Greta Gerwig is that stupid to like get herself to be allowed like that, like use like this.
So she's not stupid. I'm sure she got paid like tons of millions, right?
No, it's not the tons of millions, right? Like she is a filmmaker who I've seen have a voice with her movies. So she when she chose this not to like, you know, like go upwards in Hollywood, she wanted to like take this for a reason.
I don't know. Greta Gerwig has a voice. Yes, she's both Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach together. And Greta Gerwig through Noah Baumbach's eyes is a very different kind of persona, right? They've always had very interesting things to say about like growing up with others your age or of different ages, coming of age, even as a middle-aged person, you know, they've done that also. So you can see the evolution, at least in Baumbach's case, which most recently culminated with like Marriage Story or whatever, right? Here what I sense is more of a Ryan Coogler kind of career path, or anyone, you know, of that. You do that indie thing, you win your awards, you level up, you do like a mid-budget thing, and then you go and do a mega budget.
Yeah, it actually cost more than Oppenheimer,
which is insane to me. Also a little depressing. But anyway, Air, for instance, why did that movie work for me? I thought about that. Air is very smartly, they've designed it as a sports movie, right? So it doesn't really become about the shoe at all. It's more about this one character who saw greatness, and all he wants to do is ride on the coattails of that greatness. And that's what the movie becomes about. Plus there's like movie star stuff happening, which helps. I even like the Cheetos movie, which like...
so I mean, just at the past, but you didn't feel the movie star thing here as well at all.
No, which is shocking to me because I went in
because I loved like both Robbie's and Gosling's work.
See, I think the dialogue is so pedestrian in this movie, in Barbie, that anybody would struggle with it. Like, none of the jokes were landing for me. People in my audience was, they weren't laughing either, which is strange.
I don't have the same reaction. I remember like actually, like forget laughter, like the moment I remember the most actually came from, like I clearly get Gerwig, I think loves like Sex Education because she's cast like 3 of them.
Yeah, she's cast a lot of people.
And the one who has the smallest role, he's the Mattel employee, right? And when he delivers that line, when he's inside the CEO headquarters, like whatever office thingy, the boardroom, and he says like, wait, so I don't have any power, so wait, does that make me a woman? Like that line drew like huge screeches. Everyone like drew like take breath. Like at the same time, the entire truth hater did that. And there were like where people were like, like, I mean, I chuckled. I think at least like I remember like 6-7 times I chuckled to myself,
which is a lot, right? It doesn't happen often, even in like broad comedies these days.
Yes.
But I don't know. So again, like with that line, I understand theoretically what the joke is. Like I get it. You're saying that women don't have power, but then I struggle with like the ambition of that.
No, I think like, I mean, I'm totally conceding a point. I think, I mean, when I first like read, that Greta Gerwig was gonna do this, I was like, yeah, she's gonna do satire, right? Like that's what she does. She's gonna, especially with Barbie, she's gonna offer satire while doing the stuff she's known for, which is, like look at like coming of age, stuff you mentioned, or the growing up, the exploration of like, the female friendships and stuff like that. But what I didn't expect from her was this literalism of like speaking everything, which like I'm not willing to forgive the movie for that. How she chooses to speak everything instead of like
almost
layer it in, right? Like you make your stuff like more. There are parts of it where just there, like I'm still gonna praise that the thing about like the patriarchy thing. And this is, she just, when we come back to Barbie land, she does ingrained patriarchy stuff smartly as well, where like all the Barbies have suddenly like accepted that Kens are the better ones and they're ready to serve them. They're like, yeah, this is easier, right? You don't have to think. You don't have to be a president. It's just being a beach girl with like beer in my hand is just easier. And we don't have to like think of ourselves. We don't have to control. Everyone's just like, what they say, we just do it.
So here's my question about the feminism, since you bring that scene up, which I wondered about, right? Now the movie, there's that one major scene with America Ferrera, which we can talk about. But then the scene that you just mentioned where Ken has kind of taken over and Barbie returns and sees that all the other Barbies have become subservient. We don't see how it happens. That's left to our imagination, but it's happened, right? And
no, I think it's literally like a throwaway joke. I think there's like a line out there where they're just like, they said very smart things, and we were like, yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly. So here's my thing, right? Like, all the Barbies collectively were very easily like fooled by Ken, by Ryan Gosling's Ken, because he came back with new information from a alien world, right? B, when the Barbies say that this is easier, like we don't really have responsibilities and we just chill and we enjoy this, the movie takes kind of a judgmental tone towards it, as if that's a bad thing. Whereas, shouldn't it be empowering, since that is the core message of this movie? Shouldn't it be empowering these characters to do whatever the hell they want to do, even if it's like chilling and so?
No, but I think that's not the tone that it's like being delivered in, right?
Which is
the tone is that
big problem with this movie is
I think the tone is that like it's almost, the tone is what he brings from outside. I think is the main factor. Ken is confidence, just like belief in yourself, even though you are nothing. He has no confidence. He says that like in his like power ballad, or like after the power ballad, he has no confidence, right? He can't actually be a lifeguard. He can't do a doctor. He's like, you need some of these MBAs and you need these degrees and all that. He knows he's nothing. But that's just what patriarchy does. He's basically like learned is that just believe you're a 10 even though you're nothing.
Sure.
And then world believes you, and then the world becomes subservient to you, which is what happens, right? He comes back, he tells all the other Kens, we are actually, even though we're nothing, we are actually above everyone.
And they I understand all that because that's very literal. The movie tells you what's happening, right? And I find that like I've said, it's very annoying. But here's my thing, right? All that I get because the movie's so dumbed down. But wouldn't it be more interesting to investigate why all the Barbies seemingly just rolled over.
No, I think that's like the reflection of, in a way, isn't it, like our society?
Well,
Is that when people are born,
why does it happen? We know it happens. I agree,
right?
it happens in society, like you said, right? I see it around me every day. What I want from a movie and what I want from a movie that's made by smart people is to try. I mean, we don't want answers, but we want you to at least try and understand why it happens. Just because someone comes and talks to you confidently and says कि मैं boss हूँ तुम्हारा will obviously make a timid person roll over. Sure. But why? Why are they rolling over? If they are smart, as we've been told, these Barbies all have jobs.
So what they realize later, right? Like they're like, oh wait, I actually have a Nobel Prize. Oh wait, I actually wrote a book. Why am I behaving like this?
Exactly. We're told that these characters are smart and they have accomplishments and they've got important jobs, but still they become subservient. Now here's my question. If they've done it willingly, then we can't question them, right? If they willingly said that this is easier and we prefer this and we're enjoying it, it's less responsibility, then you can't question it because that's their choice, right? B, if you're saying that they did roll over unwillingly, then it's your responsibility to unpack why. Why is it so easily? Why is it so easy for
The movie's in a way saying the second one, right? Because then America Ferrera later like undoes everyone's like brainwashing by like talking to them.
Sure, so that's what you're saying, right? It's just brainwashing, right? That's it, right? There's nothing like brainwash over.
Yeah, basically like I think like the dumbed down version of like Gerwig's take on Gerwig and Bombach's take on patriarchy is basically that it's in a way brainwashing.
But
like
what does that
everyone is
say
capable.
about
You're just being told that you're not
exactly?
capable.
But what does that? Yeah, I'm just going around so there because I would have wanted them to kind of be like, oh, here's what happens. We know it happens, right? Women, there's obviously conditioning by when you're very very young, you're conditioned. Like even Barbie itself, like the movie doesn't unpack that, but then just being handed a Barbie when you're like 2 is also conditioning, right?
You're like that's like which is like literally what Barbie is like when it's conceptualized. You're telling them that this is what you need to aspire to. This body image, this skin tone, and everything.
Sure, and also this is your domain, right? You're not allowed to play with say GI Joes or like muscular manly action figures if you're a very young girl, right? This is Barbie, this is for you. That is conditioning. Anyway, besides the point, uske aage jaake, I mean, let's talk about the America Ferrera scene, for instance, which is in many ways like the centerpiece kind of defining moment of this movie, like the mission statement kind of.
Yeah, which is like obviously like I don't like these things because anyway you're like the entire movie you've been talking like just like speaking your thing and then you choose to like double down on that in your
which was my running problem with the movie shuru se, but in just the subject matter of the rant was also like baffling to me because she's saying that I can't be mean to people, I can't, and part of me is like, yeah, you shouldn't be mean to people. Is that what you're fighting for, the right to be mean?
No, but like that's not, it's no, in effect, like this is actually goes back to what you were saying initially, is that everything she says that I've already heard it.
Yeah.
Right? But maybe that's because like I actually live in a in an environment I live
or
around
I'm
people.
just an aware person, or just like
I'm just an aware person, and because like my society has been that kind of way. Like I've grown up in that the people I'm surrounded with are like think like this. Maybe like, but I don't even know like why would you then write that monologue for people who have not been like that? It's like why would you expect them to like suddenly be like come out of there, be like, oh yeah, what she's saying makes sense.
No, but I'm pretty sure that the movie believes that most women would relate with what America Ferrera is saying, right? If not all.
No, they will obviously relate with it, but I'm saying, as you said, like what is new in that monologue?
There's nothing. In fact, there's a lot of counterproductive stuff that she says also, right? It's just power for the sake of power. I like went back and tried to like find out the exact monologue, and people have kind of shared it online, and I'm like, oh, it's a lot of it is things that you wouldn't really want to do even if you had the capability of doing it. So I'm very, very surprised by like the things that were mentioned in that weird monologue. Anyway, as besides the point, what happens at the end is again like also baffling to me because the master plan to take back Barbie land from Ken's is, and I don't know if you read this differently or if I misread it, but to me it comes across almost like play dumb. Play dumb is what They did.
No, I think it's not that, but the commentary is not that women should play dumb. I think the commentary is that men are so basic that you can
play dumb.
you can play dumb and like get away with it.
Correct.
That's what they do, right? Like men, their interest and they're so get jealous so easily is that you can actually flip society like this easy.
So half of it I agree with.
But I think that the problem is obviously it's not like a actual fleshed out real world, right? That they're showing that not all men or not every person is like this basic. But in this Barbie land where like Kens have not grown through any like sort of development, where they have had lived a life of underclass and suddenly now been exposed to like one version of like extreme patriarchy learned by one guy in like 5 minutes through books and horses and like seeing what is that when they are, I think the commentary there is that it's almost like at least a section of men are like they learn things which are almost like they never develop themselves, right? Which is like the final thing they come to at the end is that men define themselves through like the people around them, their girlfriends, their wives, or their interests,
their possessions,
their jobs or whatever. Like they never actually develop themselves as human beings. Which is why at the end she's like, well, no, it's not Barbie and Ken. Like Ken needs to be separate. Ken needs to figure out who Ken is.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but the movie is kind of making broad sweeping statements, right? So we're going to have to go along with that when it kind of says Ken is a representative of men and Barbie is a representative. Barbie of all kinds represent women, right? So, and obviously in the final whatever sequence, they work as a unit, like a collective unit. So it's not like each individual Barbie has separate responsibilities in that mission, or each individual Ken has separate responsibilities. It's all like Barbie versus Ken, Barbies versus Kens, right? So all of them decided to play dumb. I know that the movie isn't saying that women are dumb, but I do know the movie is saying that yes, if you want to get your way in a world dominated by stupid men, then maybe just play dumb, which is baffling to me.
Or no, like I don't think that's, but yeah, sure. The thing is, the movie is so sometimes over the top and like the third act, especially like farcical, is that the message seems like very reductive, even though like I don't think that's what they're trying to say. Like in some cases, it's not always like made up, right? In some cases, it's almost like one woman is just like indulging what the guy is saying. And she's like, oh, yeah, talk to me about Godfather, or like talk to me about like the X thing.
That is so annoying.
So I think that that's like, no, that's trying to poke fun at actually like, which is a real thing, right? This is how actually people are. You can
but like, here's my question, right? People, fine, I know what the movie is trying to say. Again, like I understand it. I know what the movie is trying to say. But here, like, let's just one more layer uncover it, right? Just one.
No, I think that's where we sort of like our expectations from a Greta Gerwig movie and the reality of like a Gerwig suddenly now doing a broad comedy is clashing. Like she's chosen to do something she's never been known for. And we're like, what? What happened to you?
I do think it's something that she isn't known for, and I do think that she's out of her depth. But I, like, honestly tell me, is there anything original in a joke that pokes fun at, say, a Nolan bro explaining Inception? Haven't we seen a million memes already?
Yeah, like the one that when happened, you know, the Zack Snyder Justice League one, I was like, this is literally like a zinger in the corner. There's no value in it.
Isn't it like a low-hanging fruit at this point?
Yeah,
yes,
we
know Zack Snyder ke toxic fans hain. We know that. Who in their right mind on this planet is defending them? Right? How is it wrong for... Here's my problem with the Godfather joke now that you mentioned it, right? A, whatever, low-hanging fruit. B, the dude doesn't volunteer information about Godfather to a woman.
No, he does. Like the thing is, I think the joke there is that if you even mispronounce things men love, they will indulge you like and mansplain like 10 minutes on.
No, I get it. But in that joke in particular, she asks him to explain Godfather.
No, she just says like, are you watching The Godfather? And then he starts.
Doesn't she say something after that?
She says like, yeah, like talk to me in 10 minutes, but I think that's supposed to be almost like talking to us, not like talking to the character.
Okay. So I read it as like she's asked him to explain and he's like taken the opportunity and like...
No, that's because like we know the plot is to like, you know, distract them.
Yes.
But like the transition to the real world is that if you actually say to like most men who are like, maybe our dads is, or like maybe somewhere even our age, if you say the God Father, they will talk to you for 10 minutes.
Okay. And okay, fine. Here's my third point about the Godfather joke again. Like, what? You asked the dude to explain, right? That's a mistake. If you're going to make fun of that dynamic, let the dude explain without being asked. Simple. Right. He explains. He seems very passionate about it. I don't see anything wrong with it. That's not.
What?
I don't see anything wrong with it.
What do you mean there's nothing wrong with it? I mean,
She asked him to
No, but she's asked because, as I said, like she's asked like in the fact that it's the plot and it's almost like she's talking to us. She's not actually asked him. Like that's because, as I said, it's all everything is very over the top, right? It's like so over the top that it's almost like I don't think it's like this is the kind of comedy that is made for us.
For
right?
me, if that if they take
like people who would rather watch Oppenheimer and Inception back like again and again and not watch movies like these.
If that dude, while explaining The Godfather, had just said some weird sexist thing that, oh, isme Diane Keaton hai hi kyun? She's useless. I'd be like, yeah, that's immediately you made it better.
I think like a better parallel. I think the Godfather joke is probably like as I said, it's like the first draft version of like the same like
every underlying goddamn the first draft. It's like an SNL.
But I think the better example there is like the Photoshop sort of like Gambit, right? Where she's just like, oh, what is happening? Like I don't know how, I can't figure out. At least like let me teach you, right? Like that's the vibe they're going for.
I know the vibe that they're going for. I understand. I know that's right also. I know everything this movie is saying is right. I'm just frustrated by the execution of it.
Yeah. I am frustrated by the execution. I'm just like, I would have preferred, as I've kept saying.
It's frustrating only because I know what your heart is in the right.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I mean, if you go into this movie and there was the director's name, and I don't know who they mean, but like insert director name here.
I promise you, if this wasn't Greta Gerwig, it was just a hack person, this movie would be skewered.
Yeah. Because then it would not even contain the 10-15% like things.
Same movie. No, I'm saying same movie.
Same movie. No, I don't think someone would even deliver the same movie. And they would deliver Super Mario Bros. Or something like that. That's what, like I'm saying, like most people deliver that when you give them a toy adaptation. Either they give you Transformers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever I don't know how many they made, or they give you like Super Mario Bros, which has like made the most money this year. Because that's what people go for. People literally, they're okay just seeing pink candy colored stuff or like whatever like action, which was the Mario movie did, like just like, oh yeah, everything looks great and like shiny, and they're okay just like walking out. That's the reality, sadly.
I mean,
so even the things that she's done, like wo bhi nahi hota, and Mattel would have been happy with just like a adaptation of just like Barbies and Kens roaming around and having fun.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
But yeah, it's also nowhere near what I expect at the same time.
Nowhere near. I mean, even
of this caliber.
These are thematically we've spoken about, but just like in terms of filmmaking craft, this is a $150 million movie, right? Like, and I'm like, do you remember Speed Racer Wachowski's ka?
No, I don't think I ever saw it fully.
Okay, they did things with like just technique, like editing, transitions, just using backgrounds in a more inventive way than very few people. It just
but that's also, I think,
invented a new kind of language.
But you compare the Wachowskis, right? And that was like
Greta Gerwig.
Exactly. Greta has done like 2 indie comedies before this.
Exactly.
And she's never shown like a penchant or a penchant to forget, like even like a caliber or ability for those kind of things.
Sure. But then here's my thing.
Speed Racer, if I'm not wrong, came after The Matrix.
Of course, yeah.
So you knew who they were by then and what they were capable of.
Yeah. But then
Greta Gerwig has never shown that
she has like
inventive filmmaker of like on a technical side.
Yeah, but then there you go. Then I mean, I don't like I struggle to find like a redeem. I'm just not like, oh, I didn't agree with the way that you kind of handle these themes, but I can appreciate like the design of it. And I'm like, okay, it looks like a plastic kind of world, and that's fine. But then that's about it, right? Like there's no like beach pe kabhi aise like when the car falls down, there's like cartoon smoke or like dust or something, right? it's so rare to the point of being like, oh, did you forget that you were doing that also? It's not like Scott Pilgrim, right? Oh, it's like baked into like the visual language of the. It looks like a
It's not like a spider versus what.
or it's not
It's not
like
like you're not inventive.
it's not even like a Wes Anderson thing where you're using like 2D kind of almost like stagey props, which happens sometimes. So it's
in the beginning, like there were like traces of like something like happening, because I remember in the beginning, like Barbie's always walking in like straight lines. She's like, she walks like, she has to walk like somewhere. She's not gonna walk diagonally. Even she can get it quicker. She's walk like here and then here. She'll take the long way around to everything.
Yeah. So I mean, stuff like that. There's no like coherent like, oh, here's the fun world that we've created, and we're gonna like stick to it, and we're gonna just push it, make it more, make it like just.
Yeah, it's all traces in the beginning, like the fake waves and stuff like that. But it's not.
Yeah.
You don't build on that. It's just that's the joke there, and then it's over.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm sure there's a bunch of other things that we can answer, but I think I'm kind of annoyed. I've been annoyed for a few hours.
I think we already covered like, most performances, but which you didn't enjoy.
I didn't know. I thought Ryan Gosling is like phenomenally talented in comedic roles and kind of underrated in comedic roles because maybe, obviously he's known for doing those brooding kind of characters.
Yeah, but in a way it's his fault, right? He keeps saying yes to them.
I mean, it's not his fault. Those movies are great.
No, his fault as in he keeps saying yes to more of those instead of saying yes to more of these as well.
Yeah, but then Nice Guys, Big Shot.
Yeah, but like Nice Guys were what, like 13 years ago, if I'm not wrong?
No, it wasn't 13 years ago. It was after I started working. I'm not that.
Oh, sorry. Then it'll be 7-8 years ago. So yeah, it just feels like forever. Like he hasn't done a comedic role in forever.
Yeah, unless you count Grey Man, which is, I don't know if it's supposed to be a comedy.
That was not acting.
But anyway, like Gosling gets that musical number.
Yeah, but even setting aside the power balance, like just like the range he has to cover between like the naivety shown as like the Ken in the beginning is like just pining after and being like a teenager who's like, I just want that woman, and then to cover like become the whole like male man or macho man and come back.
Ken a villain, which they kind of lean towards in the.
Yeah, Ken is a villain.
Yeah, I would have wanted them to make Ken do like something actually villainous, like make him a Kabir Singh at the very least. Like you said, I think
the limits of the PG-13 then, right?
No, I mean, it's PG-13, right? It's not a PG movie. But here's the thing, right? He comes across as a teenager, like you said. Does he have to come across as a teenager? Make him a creep. Make him a creep. I don't know. Make it slightly edgier. Make it slightly dangerous. If you're going to tell me that the world is dangerous, make it feel dangerous.
Yeah, but I think it's also the limitations of you're trying to show boys becoming men, right? So in that sense, like it's almost like how much they're learning when they're with their first sort of encounter, like what it is to be like a man.
Yeah, perhaps maybe. But yeah, Margot Robbie the गायब हो गई थी towards the end. I felt. I was like, where?
Margot Robbie was what?
She disappeared almost. After they kind of come up with the plan, here's how we're gonna do it. Then America Ferrera and like her daughter kind of, there's something about.
Yeah, it's become like more of an ensemble thing. But yeah, to that point, like she has like the way she balances sometimes, like one sincere moment and then one like sort of like insanely funny zinger than that time, like the next second sometimes. It was like quite brilliant.
Okay. I mean, thought it was okay.
Yeah, but I think that's what happens. Like the moment once you're turned off by a movie, even the stuff that it's actually like might stand out, like it keeps washing over you.
Yeah, that definitely happens. But here's like the weird thing about this one in particular, right? Normally I'm going and watching Bawal, I'm like, this is gonna be nonsense. Here I'm going in and maybe this is just as worse. Yeah. Maybe it's just as bad. But yeah, I'm expecting at least a competent, like an engaging, like even challenging movie.
Yeah, it's not a challenging movie at all. It is supposed to be very much like a
maybe if I was
broad comedy you watched like on a Sunday and you just like don't have to like use your brain a lot.
Yeah. Which is just listen to that description and you're like, oh my god, is that what?
Yeah, that's not what we wanted from a Greta Gerwig movie. Like that's what you expect from someone else doing it.
Yeah, okay. I guess that's about it then.
All right, time to wrap it up. Okay, that's all for this episode of The Long Take. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram, and threads actually at The Long Take Pod. You can write to us at thelongtakepod@gmail.com. Please leave us a rating and a review wherever you listen to the episode, and we will see you next week.